Boxing fans, we finally have a boxing game after all of these years. The last time we had a boxing game was Fight Night Champion all the way back in 2011. And fast forward to 2024, we now have a new boxing game on modern consoles. And is this the unreal boxing game that we've all been waiting for such a long time? Kind of. Now, obviously, I'm going to go through all the pros and cons of this Undisputed boxing game. But first, I want to be straight up with you guys before we delve into it all. And if you just want a short answer, here it is from me. If you're a proper boxing purist and you've been waiting for a boxing game for the longest of times, and you watch a lot of boxing, you're just a big boxing fan, I would highly suggest getting this game. However, if you're on the opposite side of things, maybe you just play, it just maybe looks a bit fun to you, or you played a few Fight Night Champions, or you play a lot of the new UFC games, whatever it may be, but you're not heavily invested in it, I feel like you could miss out on this and it wouldn't be a big deal for you. This is how I see the game at the moment. I feel like for boxing purists, this is definitely something you need. If you're not a boxing purist or you're not that bothered about boxing, then I feel like you could easily skip out on this game. Now that we've sorted out the short answer, where do I start first? The pros or the cons? I'm going to start with the cons. Usually I'd start with the pros, but I'm going to start with the cons because I do feel as though there's more cons currently than there is pros. Now, I still would suggest this game, but yes, there's not a lot of negatives right now, and knowing that we're not going to get a patch, the first update, until December has kind of put me in a bad way about this game, and is why I'm going to let you know about the cons first, so you're more than aware of what's wrong with the game before you even consider buying the game. And now the big con that everyone seems to be talking about when it comes to this game right now is power spammers.
Be sharp, don't be a fool, don't get suckered in. Make him fight your fight. Hold him, tie him up just until the head clears again and your legs come back again.
See, he's just relying on power shots, a bit boring. I've played a few people just relying on power shots today, it gets a bit fucking boring. Look, because they seem to be in almost every online game you play when it comes to Undisputed. Every single game you get into, if you go into the heavyweight division, you're 90% of a chance going to come up against a Deontay Wilder who just keeps spamming overhands and maybe a few straights here and there. And it is very, very, very frustrating to deal with because even if you are the better boxer on the game, it doesn't really matter at times. I've been a better boxer in certain scenarios, and don't get me wrong, you do find ways to get around the spammers, and I do beat most spammers I come across. However, it still just makes it very unfun. When you load up a game, you want to have fun, especially a boxing game. You want to have fun with that boxing game. You want to be able to box your opponent. That's the whole purpose of boxing in a boxing game. And at the moment, you can't really do that. Sometimes you have to, power spam yourself. You have to join them. And I don't like that at all. Again, I don't like to do it. Sometimes I don't like to, but sometimes I just have to because it just pisses me off so much. I'm like, while he's doing it to me, I'm going to do it back. And I feel like that's why a lot of people power spam as well. Not just to get the win, but also to be like, oh, well, he's doing it to me. I've got to do it back. And again, it's just very frustrating to having to deal with this as it happens every single game. And it makes it very unrealistic and just simply not fun to play. And we may as well stay on the topic of online play, and that is if you do beat a power spammer, or maybe you have actually played someone who tries to box, sometimes if they know they're going to lose, say if it gets like 8 or 9 on the 10 count, they'll just close the app. They won't leave through like the pause menu. They'll just close the app and they don't take a loss and you don't take a win. And it's really annoying when, you've done like 8 rounds or whatever it is, however long it takes to get those 7, 8 rounds done. You've just invested a fair bit of time into a fight, and sometimes it can be a fun fight, but because of the person on the opposite end cares too much about their record, they will quit so they don't get a loss and you don't take a win. And it's very, very frustrating, especially if you play ranked play, because not only do it not give you a win and it doesn't give them an L, you lose your ranking points, which makes no sense whatsoever. So regardless if you won or not, you will lose ranking points. And it's just a massive kick in the teeth, really, because you just invested that time. You should have won, but you're still losing ranking points. I just think that's not fair in the slightest, and that's why it also annoys me that we're getting an update in December. We're having to wait 2 months for an update, and this will keep being a problem for the next 2 months, and that's why I'm kind of not saying to anyone to buy this right now, because how can I suggest buying this game if it is in a state like this and they're not willing to fix it for another 2 months, which is just a long time. You know, I'd rather suggest this game to someone December time when they fix these problems, and who knows, even if they will fix the right problems, or you know, if new problems don't come along with this update, it's just not good. It's not a good thing, and it's not a fun thing when you've invested all that time. Maybe you've gone against the power spammy, it's been unfun because of that, and then you end up beating them, but it doesn't matter anyway because they've left. And it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens a lot of the time, and it is quite frequent, and it is very, very annoying anytime that it does happen. And before we get into the pros and cons of this game, if you do enjoy boxing and MMA content, please consider leaving a subscribe on the channel, as I'm trying to hit 1k subs. Another problem we have with the online play is the connection issues. Now, I know with every multiplayer game, sometimes you're going to get into games where the connection is not that great. Everyone who plays multiplayer games understands that. I think that's quite fair to say. But with Undisputed, what I don't like about it is it can happen often. You'll see like the little bar at the top of the screen, whether it's red or orange, showing how good or bad the connection may be at that time. I feel like it should let you know, like it should show who you're matching up against, so then I know going into that game whether I have a good connection against my opponent, and if I don't, I should be able to back out then, so then again I'm just not affected throughout the game, because the connection issues on this are weird. It's not like you're lagging, there's not really any lag at all. Instead, you're getting hit from shots what shouldn't really land on you from your perspective. Say I could be out of range, but maybe on the opponent's range, maybe you were in range. So sometimes you just get hit by ghost punches. You could be like you could be on the opposite side of the ring, and you'll get hit by a big shot. Oh, come on, Eddie Hall. What? What have I just been hit by? What the fuck was I hit by? I'm sorry, what? And it's really frustrating because a lot of the time as well, this will be like something what really hurts you or drops you and gives that round away, and there's nothing really you can do about it because there's just nothing. You don't know the shot's coming at all, so how can you prepare for something if you cannot see it? It's a really, really annoying thing to deal with, and again, we can't get it fixed until December. And now we're going to move away from online play and go more to single player. And the first thing with single player, I feel like the AI, it's not exactly fun to play. Now, if you play it on a low difficulty, you probably have fun with this. I played it on like, I can't remember the actual, you know, the difficulty names. I played it on like the normal, middle ground, whatever, intermediate, I think it was called. I can't remember. And then I started going to pro. And on intermediate, I was having a bit of fun. And then when you start going to the harder difficulties, because you want a bit more of a challenge, you know, that's how I like the game. If you go a bit more to the harder difficulty, it becomes very boring. It feels like the AI just tries to counterpunch. Like, even if the fight style, you could be going up against Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton usually will get in close and bring the fight to you, but if you're playing that AI on that pro difficulty, yeah, he becomes a counterpuncher, and it's just not realistic and not fun to play that much when every single time you play on that difficulty, the AI just completely, you know, it just plays that one style, and it's really annoying. It can make things boring because you can go for a shot, they'll just block it and then hit you straight away, and then you're thinking, all right, I'm going to try and counter then, but then they don't throw many shots at all, so then it's just kind of like you're just waiting for something to happen. If you try to be the one who initiates something first, you're on the receiving end of a counter, and there's nothing much you can really do about it, so it is a bit broken. This was also kind of the same with the beta. I did play the beta when it first came out, like on PC, and AI wasn't that great then. I do feel like it has been improved, but it's still nothing special. I also want to talk about the commentary. Yeah, it's not that good. In all fairness, when it comes to any of these like fighting, sports games, whatever, the commentary's never really that good. The UFC games, they're nothing that great, but I don't feel like they're so awful. I feel like this one's a bit awful, I'll be honest with you. There's like a point, I don't know if I can get footage of it, where they reference Ronda Rousey. why the fuck are they referencing Ronda Rousey? You know, the MMA fighter who was undefeated, and then she thought she had some of the best boxing ever, started saying, I'll beat up Floyd Mayweather. And then the next fight, she fought an ex-pro boxer in Holly Holm, and she got pieced up on the feet. And then she came back a year later against Amanda Nunes, who's also known for having good hands, and she got knocked out within a minute. It's just a bit like, why would you pick Ronda Rousey to reference, who was not a boxer and is an MMA fighter, and one of her weaker assets in MMA was her box? It's just a very weird thing to mention in commentary. I don't think like the commentary is that good in this game. And for a lot of people who don't like multiplayer, you often find yourself playing something called career mode. You know, if you don't like playing online on like EAFC, you usually play career mode, and that, you know, can buy into a lot of time, get a lot of fun out of that. And you know, with a lot of fighting games, it's quite normal to have a career mode. Now, is a career mode good in this game? I don't think so. It's just very basic. It's, you know, you get to have a cut man, you get to have a trainer, and you get to have somebody else. I haven't played too much of it. I played a tiny bit because I set myself a high difficulty, and every time I was fighting journeymen, I was getting absolutely battered because my, you know, your health's slow. Obviously, all your stats are low at the career mode at the start. You need to level up, but because I'm playing it on such a hard difficulty, I was literally just getting splattered around everywhere, and it was a bit annoying. So I didn't play much of career mode, but from what I did see of it, it just kind of looks like rinse repeat, kind of like Far Night Champion. It's just okay, new opponent, training camp, new opponent, training camp. Oh, you need to pay this guy. Oh, this guy needs a new contract. Oh, you got to sim this many weeks to, you know what I mean? It's kind of the same. I suppose if you do one playthrough of it could be quite fun, but I just think it's quite basic. I feel like if you've played any other career mode in any other fighting, sports, combats game, whatever, it's pretty much that all over again, maybe just a bit more watered down. And then finally, when it comes to the single player aspect of things, you have a game mode called Prize Fights. I've done 1 or 2 of these. These update every week. It's a weekly occurrence where they give you 3 different fights, 3 different difficulties, and yeah, you just have to try and get your opponent out of there in the best possible way. And if you earn you have to earn the most points possible, and you get to compare it on some leaderboards. That's about it. Again, I kind of struggled with this because, you know, the AI, you know, the difficulty gets harder. So if you try and do a harder fight, the AI, again, you know, I would explain what the AI is like. It could be a good game mode. There's not much incentive to really play it unless you want to play just some random exhibition fight, I'll be honest with you. There's not much incentive to play this mode. It's just an okay mode. And I wasn't going to put this in the cons, but I feel like I have to after listing off all these negatives. And that is the price tag. Now, I feel like this is debatable. I think it is well justified for someone like myself who knows they're going to get a lot of hours out of this game. And if you know you're going to get a lot of hours out of this game, and again, you're one of those people I was talking about earlier, a boxing purist who will really, really want this game, I feel like the price tag really isn't an issue. It's either for the normal edition 50 quid, for the WBC Deluxe edition that's 65 quid, where you get a few more fighters like Bivol, like Jesse Rodriguez, I can't remember who else. There's multiple fighters, Caleb Plant. There's multiple fighters a part of it who you can also buy, by the way. If you don't get that edition, you can also buy them as a separate DLC. Yeah, I feel like the price tag for how many glitches there are right now, you can't really justify it. I can never really justify a game if it's got so many bugs. What stop it being so fun? And this game is one of those right now. And again, no, we're not getting a fix until December. I just can't really justify that price right now. Again, if you're a boxing purist, you will love the game regardless. But yeah, right now, I can't really, for the casual gamer, I cannot suggest this price tag for this game in this current state. Hopefully that changes within a few months, but right now, I just can't. Right, that was a lot of negativity, but we are going to get onto some positivity. And my main thing about this game, I feel like it's really, really realistic. Too easy. That uppercut was fucking beautiful, that was. Again! Fucking again, no way! What the fuck? it's a very realistic boxing game. Now, if you ever went back and played a Fight Night game, I know a lot of people use it, have it to this high regard. It's okay. It's a good game. It's a great game. It's a great boxing game. It's also the only sort of boxing game we've ever had, so that kind of helps it as well. But if you want a more realistic simulation boxing game, this is the game for you. I feel like Fight Night is a lot more arcadey and not as realistic, whereas this game is very realistic. Now, you can get off good combinations. I feel like you get good feedback on a lot of the shots that you do land. And it's just nice to be able to move. If you want to be a counterpuncher, you can work. If you want to be an inside fighter, it can work. If you want to fight on the outside and just stay on the outside the entire time, it can work. And that's what I love about this game. You can really use the style of the fighter to their advantage, and that's what I like about this game. That's what I love it so much, and what keeps me playing so much is because, I've seen people use like an 82 rated fighter, no names coming to mind, go up against one of the most OP fighters, and you can come out on top with that 82 rated fighter if you use their advantages the correct way. And that's what I really do like about this game. Another thing I've got to give a lot of praise for is flash knockouts. I absolutely love flash knockouts. It's always been a gripe of mine, but I don't know, games kind of steered away from flash knockouts. I feel like these were quite a big thing in the UFC THQ days. If you ever played the UFC THQ games, there's a lot of flash knockouts, and I always miss that aspect in the fighting games. It's very realistic that you can just randomly get knocked out, and you have to be on tip-top form when it comes to your defense and getting your offense out there. And the threat of a flash knockout, I just think it makes it more fun. I've been on the receiving end on a flash knockout, and I find it fun. I like it. It makes it more like, oh, fuck, man, I could have done better, you know what I mean? The only gripe about it, I wouldn't say this is a negative, I just maybe wish there was a few more flash knockouts in the game. I'll be honest with you. I feel like maybe if they just bumped up the percentage or the possibility of a flash knockout taking place, I feel like that would benefit the game a lot more. You don't want to overdo it so that you're just getting flash knocked out. You're getting knocked out. Flash knockouts are happening so frequently. I feel like that would take away and make the game quite poor. But I do feel like we need to maybe just a bit more. If just do it a bit more often, it will hit the sweet spot of flash knockouts being a part of this game. I've had about 3 flash knockouts, and I don't know how many games. I've had a lot of games on Undisputed so far on the PS5. I've only had 3 flash knockouts, and I've enjoyed them so much. It gets me very excited. I just wish there were a few more a part of the game. I think this game also deserves a lot of praise for the roster that they have put together. The heavyweight division has a lot of big names. In fact, this game has a lot of big names. You have Terence Crawford, Canelo, Tyson Fury, Muhammad Ali, Usyk, Deontay Wilder, Bivol, Roy Jones Jr., Joe Calzaghe, Carl Froch, Ricky Hatton. There's so many big. I've missed out on loads, but there's Lomachenko, Sugar Ray Robinson. There's just so many names in this game. I feel like it's a great roster. I feel like maybe people might nitpick. There's someone like Eddie Hall who's in the game, but I think they got him quite early on when obviously the game was very small. For those who don't know, they are an indie company and they were only founded in 2020, so they're not going to have this big roster because they haven't got like the budget of someone like EA does. And I feel like they've put together a very solid roster considering their budget, and I feel like, yeah, maybe we could flesh out a few more weight divisions. I feel like the heavyweight division is the most stacked, also the middleweight division and the welterweight division, but I still feel like it's a great roster which can have a lot of fun with and a lot of variety to each and every single weight division. I just wish there was a few more fighters to flesh out a few more weight divisions, but I feel like that will come along the way. And whilst on the subject of the roster, I also have to say that the character models are absolutely spot on. I haven't seen a character model yet of a boxer and thought, oh god, that looks bad. You see it in a lot of UFC games, the WWE games, where they may mess up a lot of these models. I don't feel like that is the case with this game. I feel like every single boxer in this game looks identical to how they would look in real life, and I feel like they've done a great job, and I don't see many people talking about it. I see a lot of people trying to dismiss the graphics a lot of the time, which I think is quite harsh. I'll be honest with you, all the graphics out of this world. No, not really. But could you name me a combat sports game where the graphics are completely out of this world? There isn't really anything. I want the character models to look great. Everything else other than that, I'm not exactly bothered about. And I don't even think the graphics are as bad as people making out. It's not like it's going to be in the visuals of like Arkham Knight, Red Dead Redemption 2, or The Witcher 3. You know, it's never going to be like that. So I don't know if people have just got the expectations so high. I've seen a lot of people say, looks like a mobile game. I think that's a load of rubbish. I keep seeing people try and say that. I think it's a load of rubbish, and I think this game looks very good for what it is. And the last positive for this game, yes, it might be a bit confusing after what I said in the negatives, but I think that the online play is very, very fun. Now, obviously, again, in the negatives I pointed out about the power spamming and people quitting so they don't take a loss, and how it can affect your ranked points, and how you can get hit by ghost punches from 2,100 miles away. But regardless of all those annoying, stupid things, what really can affect you, I think that online play is very fun. Just being able to box again, and when you come across someone else who tries to actually box on the game, this game is really at its peak. It's so fun to play when someone's trying to get their jab off and you're trying to get their jab off, and you both have to adapt as the fight goes on. It is very, very fun to play, and I think it's one of my favourite multiplayer experiences, if I'm being completely honest with you. Again, I am a boxing purist, so that will play a massive part, but every time I load up this game, I just want to play online, and that's the main bulk of where my hours come from, being sunken into this game, is for online play. I have so much fun with it, playing against viewers, playing on quick play, playing in ranked. It is all a joy to me, and yes, it does get ruined from time to time, of course, but I still find it an absolute joy to play. And those are the pros and cons of Undisputed Boxing. But before I leave you, let me tell you this. Apparently, EA have seen the interest generated by the new Undisputed Boxing game, are now thinking of doing a new Fight Night game, which could be released in 2027 or 2028. I've seen multiple sources confirm this, and this is great news and shows why it's, you know, everyone needs to support this new indie boxing game, Undisputed Boxing. Again, I know I've said not to really buy it right now, but in a few months' time, when things started to get, you know, sorted out and the game becomes a lot better, I really do think this will be worth buying. And I've even been saying I think that this game will be the greatest boxing game we have ever gotten. And it's rumored that the Fight Night game will come back in 2027, 2028, alongside a possible sequel to Undisputed, obviously being Undisputed 2. So boxing fans, after waiting so long, all of this could finally pay off. We've got a new boxing game, which is really great. A lot of problems right now, but I feel like they can sort those hopefully in December and as time goes on, and we'll still have a great boxing game on our hands right there. But even in the future, we'll have Undisputed 2 and a new Fight Night game, and I just can't wait for that and think it'll be a great thing to happen for us boxing fans. But there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the Undisputed Boxing game. You now know whether you should get this game or whether you should not get this game. Let me know in the comments whether you've been playing this game, how much you enjoy it, what you think about the game. Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.